With only 16 games left in the season, tonight's game versus the LA Clippers has huge implications for the Atlanta Hawks. Right now, they sit at the number 7 seed at 32 and 34, and of course, only 5 games separate them and the Detroit Pistons. But the Atlanta Hawks are definitely trying to get out of play-in and into the playoffs. And again, this is a big night for the Atlanta Hawks because they get to extend their win streak from 4 games to 5. What's going on, everybody? My name is Walter Pollard, and this is Atlanta Hawks Digest, where you get all of your Hawks news and information, all the rumors and things of that such. But right now, we're definitely in the midst of a playoff push. Dyson Daniels has said it already. This is their playoff window now. This is their playoffs now. It is time for the Hawks to get into playoff mode now because they definitely want to get into some good playoff positioning. Today, we're definitely going to be talking about that, as well as we're going to talk about tonight's game versus the LA Clippers and somebody that once was on the LA Clippers and now how he has definitely helped the Atlanta Hawks in a major way. But before we get into all of that, let's go ahead and jump into these 16 games that we have left, because it's something interesting to point out. Again, earlier in the season, it was very tough. Just to point it out, it was very tough. Okay, we played a lot of good teams in the beginning of the season. Played Cleveland back-to-back. We were able to get wins on that one. We played Minnesota, Memphis, different teams in the West Coast. But now when I look at these last 16 games, the Atlanta Hawks, I won't say they have a cakewalk, but they definitely need to take care of business. Earlier in the season, I mentioned how the Atlanta Hawks played down and up to their competition, where they would lose to Washington in Washington for some reason, but then win against Boston at home, beat Cleveland twice at home and away. So we have to make sure that we take care of business versus the team that we take care of business. And then and we have to make sure that we give those good teams a run for their money. You know, we don't want to just lay an egg and allow for them to just take us away or whatnot, but we have to make sure that we definitely take care of business. Now, these last 16 games, I want to point out who they play against. You play against Philadelphia twice on March 23rd and April 11th. You play against Orlando twice. That's on April 8th and April 13th. Now, I want to say Orlando, they're not a cakewalk, nor are they a team that we can just kind of make sure we get a win against. But this is a team that is close behind us on our tails as far as the playoff run. You dig what I'm saying? So they need to make sure that they take care of business. And then, of course, these next couple of games, you take on the Clippers, you take on Brooklyn, you take on Charlotte, and those are the teams that you want to make sure that you get the solid wins against. Okay? And that's what it's important, because it's all about playoff positioning. We have to make sure that we maintain the number 7 position, because let's say, for instance, you don't make it into the playoffs. And I understand how that's a difficult feat, be that Detroit is still winning and they're still doing a very good job. They're one of the most electric teams in the NBA right now. So let's say that you don't get to the number 6 position. We would hope for that to happen. But if that doesn't happen, you want to maintain the number 7 and or number 8 position, because if you lose one game in the play-in tournament, you get another crack at it. But if you're in the number 9 or 10 position, if you're in the number 9 or 10 spot and you ended up losing those games, the season is over with. Nothing else. And that is a huge disappointment, a major disappointment. And I want the Atlanta Hawks to stay far, far away from that. Now, before we get into tonight's game, again, I want to point out these guys because it's definitely something that you really want to pay attention to. Zaccharie Risacher, though I understand he's number 5 on the rookie of the year voting, or number 5 in that list or whatnot, I still feel as though he's my rookie of the year. I understand that it's going to be a difficult task, be that the young man down with the Spurs he's on a tear. But Zaccharie Risacher has definitely come about himself lately. He's definitely found his shot. He's found his positioning on this team, and he's definitely made a case for that. So major shouts out to him. And then again, the great barrier thief. This guy has just been shutting things down all season. And then to come from a team where he sat on the bench and then to get on the Atlanta Hawks and make not only a statement, but change the entire Hawks culture. He's changed the entire Atlanta culture when it comes to the Hawks, and that's something that's major and that's important. And then again, going to Trae Young to definitely do what he's been doing just lead the entire NBA by a large margin in assists. That's something that shows his leadership. It shows his ability to score as well, because he averages about 30 points a game almost. Well, 26, but who's counting? And again, he's doing his job. Of course, dealing with the Achilles tendonitis. He's been dealing with that all season, but he has not used that as an excuse to sit out or whatnot. So again, my hats off to this guy. But I say all of that to say that this young man, who was once on the Los Angeles Clippers. Of course, he got traded for Bogdan Bogdanović and a few other picks at the trade deadline. Of course, this is the first time that he'll be playing against the LA Clippers, and, Bogdan Bogdanović against us, vice versa. But this man has definitely come about and definitely shown himself to be a major asset for the Atlanta Hawks. Now, let's not forget, Caris LeVert, that's Terrence Mann that played for, and I'm still getting used to these guys, these new guys on the team. But Caris LeVert, I will say for this young man, because I'm speaking specifically about Caris LeVert, since he's gotten to this system, you dig what I'm saying? He's produced 20 plus points per game on the floor. He's definitely done a great job. And then on the last 4 games that he's played, he's definitely done a good job, finishing against the Grizzlies in a last second layup given to him by Dyson Daniels, putting up 26 points in a game versus the in 2 games versus the Indiana Pacers. And he's definitely shown that he needs to stay here now. He's on an expiring contract, so it would behoove the Atlanta Hawks to restructure or somehow find a way to sign him back on the team, because you bring him back, you have Jalen Johnson back, you have Dyson Daniels, you have Zaccharie Risacher, and not only that, but he's led by Trae Young. That is a major look for the Atlanta Hawks, and I would see them being a top 5 or even top 4 team going into next year if they can find a way to re-sign this young man. Yes, I'm putting a lot on him, but that's how I feel. You dig what I'm saying? And then again, to finally, hold on, let me get back to this really quickly. But to finally, put things back into perspective, let me get this out of here really quickly. Yeah. So, it is about playoff positioning, but tonight versus the Clippers is going to be a very, very big game tonight versus the Clippers, okay? They come into Atlanta right now. I want to say the Clippers, what are they? The Clippers are, number 8 in their division. They're 36-30 right now. The last time we played the Clippers wasn't anything pretty. We got blown out. But again, it is our job to try to make sure that we keep this going. One of the main points that I pointed out about the last game that we played against them was that the interior was taken over by Ivica Zubac. I'm going to say this name correctly, but Zubac and their big man. The Clippers have a really good interior. They have a really good interior led by Zubac and those guys, but Onyeka Okongwu would definitely have his work cut out for him. But I can sit back and rest a tad bit because we do have guys like Mo Gay, who is, I don't want to say he's new, but he's emerging from the G League, and he has another burst of energy. He plays like he doesn't want to go back to the G League. He wants to stay with the Atlanta Hawks, and I feel as though he deserves that. You dig what I'm saying? I feel as though this is a good game for the Atlanta Hawks to get that 5th win and possibly get over the hump. Now, looking at tonight's game, of course, the top performers for the Hawks would be Georges Niang and Trae Young. Trae Young's been shooting about 40% from the 3, averaging 24 points for the Hawks. And Georges Niang, he's averaging about 2-3 made 3-pointers per game over the last 10 games. So again, it's a big opportunity. Now, the last 10 games, the Atlanta Hawks have been 6-4, averaging about 122 points per game, while their team, not teammates, but the opponents have been averaging about 122.6 points per game. So, the Atlanta Hawks have been finding ways to score and stop teams from scoring. It's almost like a dead even split with the Atlanta Hawks. So I can expect for this to be a good game. I feel as though it's going to be in about the 120s, 125s, and whatnot. Looking at tonight's matchup, Norman Powell, he's out due to a hamstring. Kawhi Leonard, he's out due to a knee injury, as well as Ben Simmons. So again, thankfully, those guys won't be in the game. But again, it is time for the Hawks to take care of business. And again, the point of emphasis is the interior. Make sure that you can get some points in the paint and also stop the Clippers from getting more points in the paint as well. James Harden, he's somebody that you always have to pay close attention to. He's averaging about 25 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and this is just in the last 10 games. James Harden is still James Harden. You don't want to treat him any different, going into this game. But again, tonight it is the end. Well, not the end, but it starts to wind down the end of the season, and it is time for the Hawks to try to make a last-minute push to get out of the play-in and into the playoffs. You dig what I'm saying? They want to definitely get into the playoffs. I do feel as though we're going to need some help from some of the other teams ahead of us, but it would be great if we take care of business on our end and win games and definitely get them in some good fashion. My name is Walter Pollard. This is Atlanta Hawks Digest, and I am signing out. Peace.